Hello, welcome to Mount Up. Yeah, Mount Up, the podcast where faith meets action and justice meets community. I'm your host, Reverend Erica Hall, representing the Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church Social Justice Ministry. Yes, where our pastor is the Reverend Dr. James Minnick, and he always encourages us to mount up and do our part. Our mission here today is simply to empower our community, particularly when it comes to making informed decisions at the ballot box. So today's episode is incredible. It's going to be special because we are joined by our special guest, Adrienne Scruggs. Hello there.
Hi, Reverend Erica. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. She is running for Third Circuit Court Judge. And as you all know, the role of the courts is critical. The role is critical in ensuring justice for all. And voting for judges who share our values is a powerful way for us to be a part of the change, to create change. So today, we are going to be discussing the importance of the judiciary. We're going to talk about her journey and how you can find out more about Adrienne's campaign. Welcome to the show, Adrienne. We're thrilled to have you on our show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is just an amazing opportunity to connect with people, to connect with voters, to engage the community. So I'm really excited, and I thank you for the opportunity again.
Well, wonderful. Well, we're going to find out so much more about you and about whatever information you or goodies you have brought to us today. We welcome it. We receive it with open arms. And I just want to give a shout out to my Mount Pleasant family. This is now that season where we're paying attention. We have our ears to the pavement, and we are the watchmen on the wall, just finding out what's happening in the world, in our community, so that we can be a part of it. So we're going to go into this time. Now's the time for what I call what's the 411, right? The voter 411. And as always, let's kick off our voter 411 segment. Here's what you need to know about the upcoming election and voter resources in our community. I want to make sure that we are keeping track of all the registration deadlines and voting deadlines for this upcoming election. You should know that within 14 days of an election, am I right? Voters can visit their local clerk's office or go online to register to vote?
They can. There are certain areas that have earlier voting. So the city of Detroit and our city clerk, Janice Winfrey, she did announce that the city of Detroit is doing 14 days early voting. And it is the same experience as Election Day experience. They can go there, go to the polls, they feed the ballot box, the whole nine, get the button, everything is just as phenomenal. But you don't have the issues that you may encounter on Election Day, which is the very last opportunity you have to vote.
Oh, good to know. So just to clarify, if you have not registered to vote, you have 14 days of an election where you can register with that proof of residency. You can register to vote. You can visit your local clerk's office. We're going to make sure we put a link in the chat so that you can have access to all that resource information. And as Adrienne just mentioned, early voting starts Saturday, October 26th. And goes all the way through Sunday, November 3rd, right? Election Day, the presidential general election, Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, Tuesday, November 5th, where we're getting out the vote, right? And so we have the website. We're going to put it all in you'll find it in the notes, you'll find it in the chat, vote411.org. where we encourage you to go find out all the information about your polling places, about absentee voting, get registered to vote. That's vote411.org. And you can go there and make your voting plan. All right, so now we're going to talk about the topic at hand. Thank you. Let's dive into our story with Adrienne. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to run for circuit court judge?
Well, thank you again. And I'm Adrienne Scruggs. So the long and short of it, my inspiration, I'll start there, was Felicia Rashad playing Claire Huxtable. And so I saw that look. I watched her when I was a little girl, and I did not know what an attorney was. I didn't know how to become one, but I saw her and I saw the representation that she provided, and she made it look good. And so when I was in the 4th grade, my teacher, Jaquetta Cruz, she made me voice what I had been thinking and been feeling all that time. And she asked what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I said, I want to be a lawyer. And I've been on that path ever since. I've been an attorney for almost 20 years now. And I have done the gambit in my career from private practice to where I'm now a judicial officer serving as a family law referee. So I'm presiding over family law cases at another county trial court.
Oh, that's amazing. Such a vast background. And so as someone who is deeply committed to justice, how do you see the role of a circuit court judge? What is that role in advancing fairness and equality in the legal system?
Well, it's vital. And so I'll just say, first of all, you'll see a judge before you see the president, before you see your state legislators, and they'll impact your life quicker and at a greater capacity than the other branches of government. And they are a co-equal branch of government. And the role of the circuit court judge, there are certain things that they have exclusive jurisdiction over. So for Wayne County Circuit Court, for example, there are 59 judges. And the circuit court is comprised of 3 divisions and then 2 subsections. And so you have the criminal division, which everybody is pretty much familiar with, and those are the felony matters. You have the civil division, that's any lawsuit, anytime you're suing or being sued by someone for a value of over $25,000. You have the domestic division, and that's divided between family, where you have your custody, parenting time, child support, and divorce actions. And then you have your juvenile actions where abuse or neglect or termination of rights. And so there's certain things that are exclusive to the circuit court that you can only start and have initiated in the circuit court. And that are those family law matters only start at the circuit court, and some juvenile matters that are not intertwined with felony matters that would go into our criminal divisions. So we serve as gatekeepers too. So there's the service as the gatekeepers, and the judge's role is so vital. So if people are not just the circuit court, but the judicial branch as a whole, because it's not as attractive as some of the other races, right? There are so many restrictions on how you have to behave or comport yourself as a judge, and rightfully so. But they don't necessarily look at the judicial races and say, hey, I really got to invest some time and energy in figuring out who these people are and who my judges are and why they're capable, competent.
Choosing and voting for our judges are just so important.
They are. The judge is going to decide, if you're talking about family, for example, which is what I do. I'm deciding whether or not you have access to your children, how frequently you can spend time with your children, whether I'm going to make a decision that allows for a child to be moved out of state or move so far away that it's the same as being out of state, or what school they're going to, whether or not they have vaccines, or who has the right to make decisions for that child. And even decisions where it comes to grandparenting time, whether or not you're going to be able to have access to see your grandchildren. And so when you're dealing with those issues, you really have the ability to impact somebody's life, certainly to impact and restrict their freedoms, not just with the criminal proceedings that people are very familiar with, but even with a contempt proceeding, issuing a bench warrant or having someone incarcerated.
Yeah, we don't really think about these things until we find ourselves faced with these matters. And I am so glad that people like you're doing your part to help educate us as to the power and the decision making we can have beforehand. So what are some things that when you talk about these things that matter to us, how is it that they where they stand now, and how would you change them to make them for the better?
Well, my priority is always fairness and equity. and delivering justice with compassion. But the question has always become, well, what does that look like? And it's breaks down to the basics. When people are coming to the court, that's the people's court. So you have to treat people with dignity and respect. Our job is not just the fair administration of justice, but the job of the judge, of the role of the judicial officer, is to also educate people on the judicial process. I regularly inform people of what is going on, because how can you advocate for yourself if you don't have a clear understanding of what is going on, how things should be going, the proceedings and all of the resources available to you? And so that's a part of our job as well, making sure not that just that we are determining whether or not someone is providing credible testimony and weighing that appropriately, or admitting or excluding evidence based upon whatever those factors and analysis are with those issues. But it's also making sure that people have space to come to court and to argue their issues and to be seen and heard, and not just treated as a docket number.
Yeah. And I'm not sure exactly, all the things that include us getting that education. But how about talk a little bit about what we can do as the faith-based community? What can we do, the churches and all of those who like to play a pivotal role in the community? What can we do in supporting justice, standing up for justice with the judicial system?
Well, I think first of all, I want to applaud you, because this is the first start, right? Things like this, forums like this kind of platform where you give people the information and the opportunity to connect and engage, it starts there. The churches are still the go-to place, but I think making sure that you have, because they're also a safe place for parishioners, for the congregation to come and to meet, and they're a gatekeeper. So people aren't just going to go to the church with some nonsense. And I think it's important that the church maybe does additional forums. Hey, this is what we're doing with our organization. This is what we're doing with our church. Partner up, and then invite those candidates to come out so that they can connect and speak with the community. But I think it's also very incumbent upon anybody either running for a judge or who is a current judge or judicial officer to go there to those faith-based locations, to engage with the community in an environment where they feel safe, seen, and heard, and just connect, put a human connection on there. And I think offering those opportunities are great and vital.
Yeah, I think we definitely know the importance of having that audience and that space to come, because that's when you have folks who are ready to hear. And as voters consider who to support in this upcoming election, what advice would you give to help them make informed decisions, especially when it comes to, as you talked about, judicial candidates?
Well, first, I would research your candidate. We'll have an opportunity. We can look at the ballots early, look at the ballots online. If someone isn't necessarily the most internet savvy, and can't access a ballot that way, maybe and the church can have some sort of forum where they say, here's an opportunity to look at what's on your ballot. And then we'll give you an opportunity to also say, here's the information that we found about these candidates. For the judicial candidates in particular, you can go to the websites, go to the candidates' websites, look at their social media, see who they're connected with. It's always 6 degrees of separation. And so, like, my website is up, scruggsforjudge.com. My social media is scruggsforjudge.com on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm also on other sites that people trust too, that are independent, like Ballotpedia or Vote 411, that's provided by the League of Women Voters. So those are sites that people trust and rely upon. And I think if you go to those sites independently also, that'll give you insight as to judicial candidates especially. And if you don't see something on there about a judicial candidate, that raises something for the person as well. It's like, why aren't you providing resources or information?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Because it shouldn't be that difficult to find information about you. I mean, we do it when it comes to companies and hiring and trying to see if someone has a track record. Even on social media, we look to see what your profile looks like, and we make a judgment that way. So that's a very, very good point. So I just want to, I'm going to give you an opportunity in a little bit to share with us all of your the locations where we can do some research and or follow you. But I just want to say that we met at our summer days program this summer at the church, and we were out there having a good time, and you came during our what we call our family fun day extravaganza, and I think you were over in the area. Oh yes, where the seniors were playing bingo in the tent where we met and talked. And so I just want to thank you for coming out, and that's when I invited you to come onto the podcast and give you an opportunity to. You think that you're broadcasting and sharing stuff about yourself, but you're informing us, and we welcome the opportunity to be informed. So right now, I just want to let everybody know for this MountUp, we're spotlighting leaders and their initiatives that are making a difference. So today, we are highlighting and spotlighting Adrienne Scruggs for judge. She's campaigning for the third circuit court judge and the impact she hopes to make in the legal system. So, Adrienne, can you tell people how they can get involved in your campaign and where they can go to learn more? Your website, your social media handles?
Absolutely. First, again, thank you so much, Rev Erica. I appreciate it. And I learned very quickly not to interrupt bingo. So I know that's some serious business there. So they can learn more about me at my website. It's scruggsforjudge.com. That's www.scruggsforjudge.com. I also have Facebook and social media, same handle, scruggsforjudge.com. But I am also on those sites that I referenced. If they don't want to look at my website because they want to check out an independent source first, go to Ballotpedia. You'll find information about me on there as well. So I'm the only candidate who has filled out information for the Ballotpedia survey. Vote 411 hasn't put up all of their information yet for the judicial candidates. We were just searching that. And so once they get their information and they go live, you'll find my information on that source as well. But there may be other sources that people look to. So like Outlier Media or anything. If you do a Google search of my name, then you'll find other information just about me, and you should be able to do that. And it just kind of goes to being transparent in a judicial setting as a judicial officer. And it's vital that we inspire trust with the community and that we are transparent. So providing those access to resources for people to find information about you, I think is really very pivotal. If people want to get involved, there's a Get Involved tab on my website, and there's a lot of activities that they can participate in and just support me by also just sharing the name Scruggs for Judge in the nonpartisan section.
Scruggs for Judge. That's so catchy. It has a great ring to it. And as I told you before, I just love your name. That's my mother's name, and you spell it the same way. And also, I was curious again, what did you say the G stands for? Is Adrienne G Scruggs?
Well, I tell people it stands for greatness, but really, and that is true, but it stands for Javon, so that's my middle name.
Yeah, I wanted you to say that. I wanted you to say that greatness. Listen, Adrienne, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing your vision for justice and fairness in the courts. We truly appreciate the work that you are doing, and we're excited to see the impact you'll continue to have in our community. For those of you listening, be sure to do your research and make an informed decision when you head to the polls. I don't even want to tell you how many times I went to the polls and guessing. And I voted on name recognition. But shoot, at least I voted. I was voting because I just knew that was something I was supposed to do. But I could make much more of an impact if I'm an informed voter. Because I don't like to get to behind the desk and then find out that, I had a say so beforehand. So remember, voting for judges is just as important as voting for any other office because they shape the legal system that affects our lives. Thank you for tuning in to Mount Up, and be sure to subscribe and follow us for more conversations on faith, social justice, and community in action. This is being brought to you by the Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church, where our pastor is the Reverend Dr. James Minnick. He's the one that says, come expecting a blessing. And we are just excited that you are tuning in and you're listening to us. We have more interviews underway for you. So until next time, stay engaged, keep the faith, and remember your vote matters, especially in judicial elections. I am the Reverend Erica Hall here. Adrienne, before we go, can you tell our listeners one more time where they can find more information about you? Just throw your website out there, or your handle.
Absolutely. It's scruggsforjudge.com. That's www.scruggs, SCRUGGSFORJUDGE.com. And again, thank you so much. It is so vital. There was a 4,716 vote drop off from the people who voted for the Wayne County Sheriff in the primary and the people who voted for the judges in my race for the primary. 4,716 voters didn't finish the ballot. So please treat that ballot like a grilled cheese sandwich. We know how to butter every corner of that bread. We know how to toast one side, and then we know how to flip it over and get the other side golden and toasty too. So that's how we got to treat our ballot.
All right. I love that. So I'm going to use it. So thanks again. Thank you, all of you who are listening. We'll see you in the next episode of Mount Up, brought to you by the Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church, located at 21150 Moross in Detroit, Michigan, where we say, come expecting a blessing. And we just want to encourage you, be blessed today. Thank you.